Hi, class. Welcome to week 2 of Human Communications in Group. I hope you're enjoying your reading and are gleaning a lot from what you're taking in. I know there's a lot of information in each week, so try to take in as much as you can. I saw a mass email went out to some of you to try to connect with groups. I think that's great. I can't reiterate enough, you need to find a group. So I hope you are able to connect with people, find a group so we can watch your videos. I'm looking forward to reading your discussion boards. Before I forget, happy Mother's Day to all those in this course, and your mothers and all the people in your lives. I know today is Mother's Day, so I wanted to give a shout out there. Um, so today we're going to talk about a few different things with group and just some characteristics of an effective group leader. Group can be hard because you're managing more than one person. In a therapy session, when you're dealing with just one individual, you're just talking with one individual, you're only having to manage conversations between you and that person. Not to say it's not challenging, but then you add, let's say, a spouse in there. Then you got a different dynamic because now you could have some arguments, some back and forth. Well, then you had a family, let's just say. So now you got 4 people in there. So you have a mom, a dad, a couple kids. Now you're trying to wrangle a lot that could be going on. There could be conflict, issues, making sure everyone has a chance to be heard. Well, now imagine now you got 6, 7, 10 people in a group, right? An AA meeting, right? There's a lot of people. And so there needs to be some level of having courage. That's one of the words on here. Some ability to set firm boundaries, but still remain genuine, empathetic, active listening, not taking it personal. Because sometimes you'll have some people in there. You've been in groups, right? You guys have been in Bible studies. You've been in part of clubs. You've been in group kind of meetings, maybe that aren't psychoeducational, but in other kind of group settings where you're like, there's that one person in the group, the oversharer, or there's that one person in the group who just says things in a way that usually offends people. There's always one, right? And so as a clinician, as the therapist, the person in charge, we want to try our best to avoid uncomfortable, awkward situations. And so it takes some time to get used to that. And that's where, as you begin, hopefully, once you start group, you'll start maybe not alone, you'll have a partner. We'll get to that at some point in this course, talking about co-leading. I think that's very effective just to help with management of personalities. But you want to believe in the group process. You want to have success. You want to have openness. Not taking it personal when people can be critical, because some people are just always critical. That's just the nature of who they are. They're just critical people. And just knowing like they're in a place, and so they may take that out on other people, and just not allowing that to ruin your night, your day, whatever that may be. Okay, that's really important. Just some things to remember. So these are just some characteristics of a good group leader. You do have to show that empathy, identifying with pain, have the ability to keep moving along, because group can be, sometimes it's formulated to only so many sessions, but sometimes it's an open process group. So there's constant changing. There's people coming in, going out, all those kinds of things. So just being aware of the longevity and how that can be, it's not maybe a race, it's a marathon, and just pacing yourself accordingly. Taking good care of yourself as always. That's just not in group therapy as a clinician. As that's as a clinician in general, because we're helping others. We want to make sure we have our own personal help. Not taking ourselves too seriously. I think I laugh a lot in therapy. I laugh a lot in my job, not laughing at my clients, but laughing with them. We laugh together. We have fun in session. And so it's the same kind of thing. You can do the same kind of thing even in group. Laugh, enjoy each other's company, things of that nature. But being dedicated to what you've committed to, and carrying it through. That's an important part of group. So the climate of the group is, again, we want to make it a safe atmosphere that allows people to be open and direct and respectful of one another. And so we want to make sure that the group leader kind of sets that tone. It's like parenting. You set the tone for your kids. As a group leader, you set the tone for the group. So again, demonstrating unconditional regard, a lot of those skills that you learn in professional practice with the active listening, eye contact, the right kind of question asking, an environment that makes people feel safe and comfortable to share. You as the leader set that tone. And so you have to be comfortable even to correct when necessary to still maintain and keep that safe. It's essential to acquire these skills and work towards refining them. And again, that's where if you're co-leading with somebody, maybe if you had like a lead, like maybe if of the like if there's two of you working on a group and one of them has more experience, that person, can kind of help you to kind of give you constructive criticism, what you're doing well, maybe what you can work on, because you all are going to start new at something you do, right? This is your first time doing it. Now, some of you might have experience running groups. You might work in group homes, county settings, hospital settings where you run group. That's great. You have a lot of experience. For those of you that are green, a little new, you know what? That's okay. Everyone starts somewhere, but being open to constructive criticism so you can learn and grow as a clinician leading a group, I think is important, because if you don't have control of your group's going to run you. And that's not how people are going to learn well. That's going to be a problem. And so something to work on, and so just to be mindful of that. So again, I've mentioned active listening, reflecting, clarifying, summarizing, facilitating. A lot of these things we talked about, these things matter for individual therapy, couples therapy, group therapy, just all the things that we do normally. It's just now you're managing a larger scale of people. And these are some of the skills we've talked about, supporting, suggesting, initiating, evaluating. Terminating will be something that usually happens at the end. Sometimes you might have to terminate someone early due to them not having proper boundaries and or breaking a rule or boundaries. And here we go, co-leadership. Co-leadership, I think, is really useful. I think just because you're not alone, as we know, like even in parenting, it's helpful when you have two partners, because one kid might relate better to the other, or one person kind of takes the lead when the other person needs to tap out, or just the dynamic of personalities. I'm starting to get frustrated, so that other person comes in and takes over so I don't lose my cool. Same kind of thing in group. You're going to have people that are going to respond to each leader differently, not to create any sort of dissension, but it can be a way to tag team, to work together, to have backup and support in a situation that could get a little sticky. It's just nice to not be alone when dealing with a large group of people. And so I think it's really helpful in these kinds of settings, because it just allows everyone to feel seen and heard, and each leader can bring something to the table that helps maybe somebody different in the group that the other leader can't reach. I think it's really beneficial. And it does help with scheduling wise. If something comes up, someone's sick, you have somebody else, you don't have to cancel group, which is really nice. So some of the disadvantages in co-leading groups could be you get a bummer co-leader. I think if the leaders start to get competitive of one another and like, oh, everyone likes her more than they like me, and that becomes like a competition, that's not at all what group is or what it should be out. It's not a popularity contest. And so just being mindful of that, like that's not what this is about. We don't need to do that. All those kinds of things, that's super important. And so making sure that that's not happening, because if that does happen, that's going to create a problem and dissension. Failure for the leaders to be prepared. And so then they're not prepared for what's happening in group, which is really problematic. And so making sure that the leaders are on the same page is really important. If there's a curriculum, that they both understand the curriculum, they know what they're going to cover, so they don't seem like they don't know what they're talking about. So just really important things in regards to developing a group, growing a group, all that kind of information. So group therapy has been shown to be effective as individual treatment, and in some cases is more effective, which I agree with. I think there's a lot that can be learned with a group of people. I think clients can learn a lot from other people in different phases of a situation, or can glean a lot from how someone's overcome a hard situation. I definitely think group is very useful and has its place, and I think it is a great addition to individual therapy, and or it can maybe get someone out of a stuck place more so than individual therapy. Um, just because of the many different facets and the many different personalities and the many different situations that are all happening all at once. And instead of maybe just getting information from one person, I'm getting information from 8 people. Even if it's like, I don't want to be like that person, like that's beneficial. That's self-awareness, learning some of those self-awareness skills. And so I do think it's really helpful. I think it takes a village in a lot of circumstances, and group has that kind of feeling of it being like a village, because again, there's more than just one of you, and you don't feel as alone. And so I do think it's very beneficial and cathartic, and I do think it's something that that clients really can learn a lot from. I think sometimes it's just getting past the fear of going to a group. Once you get in and get past the awkwardness and the initial kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, then I think a person can really grow and flourish. Now, that's the case too with individual therapy. It takes a lot to get the person there, but a lot of times once we get them there, then we get them there. And so I think when people are really ready to change and ready to learn and ready to make a difference in their life, group can be a great way to make those changes and feel like you have support as you're making those changes. I hope this information was helpful for you. It's kind of just highlighted some of your reading. Again, please, 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 I can't reiterate this enough. Find group members to record your video. It's very important. I will be working on creating your discussion boards. I look forward to reading them and looking through them. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you soon.